great to see you all today. Hope you guys are feeling good. Hope you had a good weekend. Let's get to it, guys. So last week we were working on guard passing. Specifically, we were talking about how to shed hooks using the shin circle, entering to headquarters, and then finishing with things like the X pass or the knee cut, and then combining those movements together. This week, though, we're going to be flipping the script. So we're literally going to be moving to the opposite side. We're going to be working on sweeping this week. However, before we get into some actual sweeps, I want to first talk about a specific position that we're going to be using throughout the week, and that's going to be a guard called the Delahiva Guard. Now, the Delahiva Guard is a very powerful position, and it's one of the longer range guards that we can use in jiu-jitsu. This is probably one of the most beginner-friendly guards or open guards that you can learn. So we really want to take a chance to learn how to use this, and more importantly, how to off-balance our opponent to make our sweeps very easy. So if we're unfamiliar, in jiu-jitsu, our guard is what we use with our legs to control someone from the bottom. And a sweep is where we access levers on our opponent's body and we shift their center of gravity to allow us to come up on top. Now, before we get to our off-balancing techniques today, we're going to start off by just warming up by pulling to the Delahiva. Okay, so Tristan, I'll borrow you, sir. Alrighty, guys. So we're going to start off by just facing our partner. We're both going to start in just a good grappling stance, okay? So our right legs are going to be in front. We're leaning over, covering our legs. And we're both going to get grips on each other. So we're both going to grab the collar and the sleeve here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull to the Delahiva, and then we'll talk about how it's going to work. Alrighty, guys? So it looks like this. So now I am in the Delahiva Guard. So let's talk about that. So pulling guard means that I'm going to actively go down to the ground, but as I'm going down to the ground, I'm connecting my legs to my opponent to control them so that they're not able to immediately run around my guard. So how are we going to pull the Delahiva? I need to get my leg hooked around his leg. So my left leg is going to hook around his right leg. If I'm sitting straight in front of him like this, my leg is just not long enough to hook around him. So what I need to do is, as I go to sit, I'm going to slightly spiral my body to my left side to get not in front of him, but slightly to an angle on his body. This is going to allow my Delahiva leg to go in much easier. Now, my partner is simply going to trace me with his body. So as I'm spiraling down, he's just going to kind of turn to align himself with me. I'm not going to be suddenly jumping up on him. I'm not like doing anything crazy, giant spin moves. I'm just going to very gently sit, and as I'm sitting, I'm just going to use my leg like I'm trying to reach out and scoop his leg. Let's look at that piece again. So I'm here. If I'm too far away, it's not going to work. So I take a little step forward. My right foot takes a little step forward. I'm going to hook behind his knee as I sit. Notice how Tristan simply followed me to keep his alignment. Now, my right foot is going to be stepping on his inner thigh. This foot needs to act as a frame to prevent him from getting any closer to me. My left foot is hooking underneath his thigh here. If I had shoes on, my shoelaces would be touching his inner thigh. My hands that were gripping his gi are going to stay strong on the collar, but my left hand is going to let go. I'm going to find his ankle or his pant leg, and I'm going to grab that. I'll show this from a different angle in a moment. Once I'm in this position, we're done. Let's see that from a different angle. So we'll do like from here. Alrighty, guys, so again, head to head, I'm nice and low. If I'm standing up, that's an awful long drop. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to fall through 5 feet and 11 worth of space, right? So I want to get, hey, not 6 feet, man, what can I say? So I don't want to fall that high, right? So I'm going to stay nice and low, okay? Little step forward, spiral, get to Delahiva. Now look, my left hand comes down, I grab his pant leg. I want my forefingers on top like a mountain climber grip, just like this. Notice how my body is somewhat in a tensed, balled up position. If I'm just kind of like relaxed, look how everything kind of falls apart. I want to be engaged. Your partner can tell you if it feels tight. I'll show one more time without talking. And now I'm in Delahiva. Making sure that my thigh is touching his shin, my foot is nice and close to his foot, and we're in a strong controlling position. We're going to warm up just by using this 1 for 1, okay? Again, don't jump, don't do anything crazy, just sit on your butt, hook your leg right behind their knee. Does anybody have any questions? Let's try this out first, guys. I'm going to have you pair up. Find someone similar in size to you. I'll pair up a couple people in particular, and then we'll just get right to it. All right, guys, let's go. 1, 2. Okay, any questions so far? So again, we want to understand not only how to use a position, but we need to know how to get there first, right? So if we can't enter into a thing or a position, then it doesn't really do us a whole lot of good to learn how to use it to attack. So we can pull directly to Delahiva by using that sort of spiral pull where we kind of turn off to the side. Now, let's talk about the Delahiva Guard and why it's such a powerful guard and a very beginner-friendly guard. It's a very simple position to kind of wrap your head around. All we're using is a hook and a frame to control our opponent's lower half and a grip to maintain posture control. Now, my body needs to be acting as a series of hooks and frames to control him. Let's take a look at some of the primary hooks and frames that we're going to be utilizing. I'll just start here in a seated position. So again, my primary hook is what we call the Delahiva hook. This is kind of the namesake for the position. And in case you don't know, Delahiva is the name of a guy. His name is Ricardo Delahiva. This used to be called the pudding guard in Brazil, but they've changed it kind of since he popularized it. It is, right? It's a delicious position. But the Delahiva Guard is a very powerful position, guys. Here's the Delahiva hook. Now, let's talk about our primary frames. Your first frame is going to be your foot that's stepping on their thigh. This foot can modulate depending on what my goal is. I can either be framing on his inner thigh, I can be stepping on his hip, I could even be hooking using my shin as a frame. But this is to create distance and space between the two of us. Now, a frame that you may not think about, but is equally as important, is your thigh on your left side. My thigh needs to be actively projecting forward into his lower shin. This is going to stop him from being able to cut that knee over top. See, if my foot's just kind of like cosmetically there, he's going to have a very easy time bringing his leg over. Now, my hand is controlling his pant leg. We like to go pant leg just because it's a much more difficult grip to break. If I'm grabbing the ankle, he can still kind of kick out of that. So I want to use the pant grip just to make it a very strong connection. And again, as I said, my right hand will be controlling either the collar, or we can also modulate with sleeve grips of either side, or we can even look at using the belt grip as well. Let's start very simple, though, right from here with the collar grip. Now, this week we're going to be working on sweeping. We're going to start, however, by focusing on off-balancing our opponent. Because if we just try to sweep someone right now, that's a false positive, right? They might fall over and we might sweep them, but that's only because maybe they're not a very good top player, maybe they're not very comfortable on their feet like this, or maybe they don't even know what I'm doing. So we want to understand how to make someone lose their balance from here. So we're going to make them lose their balance tonight in two different directions, the front side and the back side. What am I looking for? What's my goal here? My goal is to make my opponent post their hand down on the floor. Let's look at how I'm going to do that by going to the front side first. Here we go. So I make him lose his balance, forcing him to post his hands. A little rule of thumb, if your opponent is posting, they are not passing. If your opponent is posting, they are not passing. So if I can keep his hands on the mat, he's not passing my guard. So I should always try to keep him posting at all times. How do we do this, though? Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to disrupt his alignment. The alignment is comprised of base, posture, and structure. First, we're going to widen their base by using that frame with our right foot here. I'm going to push his knee backwards, and as I push his knee backwards, I'm going to sit my body up. I'll show this from a side view in a moment. My right leg needs to be very strong. This is a rigid frame here. I can't let this foot kind of drop out because now he's mobile with his back leg. So I have a very strong frame on his back leg here. Now, I've sat my body up, so now I can use my body like a pendulum to really pull his weight over. So to do this, I'm simply going to drop to my right shoulder as I pull his collar down to the mat. This is going to force him to post his hands. Let's be clear here. This should not make him fall over. If he falls over from this, he's not very good at jiu-jitsu, right? He should not fall over, so top person, don't fall over from this. As I drop to my right shoulder, I'm going to aim to lift his foot off the floor, and there's the post I was looking for. Now, I'm simply going to go back to the same position. I'll do that one more time. I'm going to push away, rotate, and come back. Now, let's talk about the opposite side. To do the opposite side, we're going to start the exact same way. I'm going to push his knee back and sit up. But now from here, instead of going to my right side, I'm going to drop to my left side. As I drop to my left side, I'm using this collar to bring him along with me. Here. Now I'm going to let him center back up, regain his balance, and we're right back where we started. I'll show that once more. and he regains his balance here. Let's see this from a side view. So again, I want you guys to always start with the guard pull, just to get that sort of extra free repetition in there. So we start with the pull, we get to Delahiva. I'll just start on my back for timeliness. All right, so from this position, first, let's widen their base. I'm gonna step on their leg, push it away as I come up. Notice how this frame is extended. If this is weak, if it falls, we are in big trouble now, okay? So I wanna keep that frame nice and strong. I'm now gonna drop to my right shoulder. Before I do that, let's talk about this foot real quick. You may have noticed how that foot's not up. That's fine, it's not a big deal, okay? Why? Because I know that this thigh should be actively framing. If you can keep your hook in tight, that's awesome, right? I find that it's a little bit tricky to do that, especially with someone who has really big thighs. So like not us, right? If someone has really big, strong thighs, like that foot doesn't stay in very easy. But if you can, keep it in, okay? But again, I'm framing here. I drop to my right shoulder, force into post. Look how I keep this frame active, guys. Now from here, I'm simply gonna spin myself right back to the beginning. I'll now go to the rear side. Let's go ahead and do a 180 so you guys can see the rear. Okay, so again, I push him back, I sit up. Now I'm gonna drop to my left shoulder. I want this arm to post now, here. Once I have his hand posting on the mat, now I have a very strong off balance. I'm just gonna let him get his balance back and regain his composure. This is a great drill, not only for the bottom person to learn how to off balance, but it's also a great drill for the top person, so you learn what you need to keep your balance from the top and not just lose your balance and fall over right away. Okay, guys? I'll show one more time. This is what I want to see when you guys drill this, okay? I'll show it from the top without talking. Here we go. Now we're done. Okay, so I pull, extend them away, front side off balance, reset, extend them away, back side off balance. All right, guys, any questions on this? Yes, Melissa?
As the top player, when they're pushing us backwards, how do we better protect our knee? Because I know that when I was working in the last class, my foot was kind of underneath my partner's butt.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were turning me this way, it was causing this kind of pain in my knee. So make sure it's not underneath your butt, obviously.
Yeah, so they shouldn't be sitting directly on top of my toes. Okay, so if they're sitting directly on the top of my toes, that's actually not that good of a position because it's easier for me to start to extract and cut angles, right? He wants to be just on the inside of my foot here, okay? So if he's starting to extend me away, I just want to try to keep my knee driving back towards him here. My back knee is not in too much danger, right? Because it's external rotation, it's not internal, right? I just want to try to keep my knee focused on turning out. The goal of the bottom person will be eventually to try to internally rotate my knee so that way they can create back exposure. But I'm just being strong with it and keeping my knee turned in here. Notice, however, though, I'm still keeping my hands connected to him and I'm still kind of leaning into him a little bit. It's almost like a lunge position, right? And then we can kind of reset from there, right? But yeah, I want to keep my knee turned out strong, okay? When my back knee gets pushed, I just kind of hunker down a little bit, keep my hands connected on them.
Don't let them do that. Move your, if they actually are on top of your foot, move it out.
Well, yeah. I don't want them sitting on top of my foot, so I want to always try to keep my foot out from underneath their hips, right? It's not necessarily good for the bottom person to be sitting on top of the foot because if I'm sitting on top, I'm kind of holding down the lever I want to manipulate, right? So again, it's kind of like it's a mistake from the bottom person to be sitting directly on top of the foot, but from the top perspective, I don't want them sitting on my foot either because it's just sitting on top of a lever, so I want to always try to get that foot out, right? So no matter what, don't sit directly on top of the foot. Make sense? Alrighty, guys, let's try this out. Take your time, be purposeful with your movements, be strong and connected. Let's go, 1, 2. Alrighty, guys, any questions so far? So we're very sort of conceptual right now with our approach with this position. How do we get there? How do we create off balances? So there's a term that's used primarily in judo, but we've adopted it a little bit into jiu-jitsu called kazushi. Kazushi is the art of off balancing. So performing kazushis requires us or sees us making our partner lose their balance. Again, if we can cause our partner to post, we're doing good. Because if they're posting, they are not passing. So we're always trying to keep their hands on the mat, so that way I can attack different sweeps. Let's look at a sweep now, all right? So both of these off balances are things that I should be constantly drilling and kind of working over, because I don't want to have to think about it, right? It's kind of like if I'm walking, I don't think about taking a step. When I'm playing Delahiva, I shouldn't think about, okay, how do I do that off balance? I need to do it automatically, so that way I can spend my brain power thinking about my upcoming sweeps. Let's look at one sweep tonight. This is gonna be our main sweep for today. We're gonna be looking at what we call the sit-up sweep. The sit-up sweep is a very easy and a very powerful sweep, and it's one that you can really base pretty much all of your Delahiva sweeping system around. Let's look at the sit-up sweep first, and then we'll talk about how it works. So again, I'll just start from the Delahiva here to maintain a good angle of eyesight for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to show the sit-up sweep, all right, and then we'll talk about how it works. Here we go. Okay, so I've performed a sit-up sweep, meaning I've gotten my partner down on the mat and I got my body up on top. So I've swept my partner. Now, this is called a sit-up sweep, hopefully because you noticed I did that sit-up thingy that we all just drilled, right? The off balance. I'm performing that base opening movement where I'm pushing their leg and sitting up. However, before we do that, we have one small adjustment that we're gonna make. I'm gonna change this grip on the collar for this sleeve grip here. Now, how will we get this grip? It's almost a guarantee that your partner will grab your leg when you're playing Delahiva. Why? Because they're trying to pass and because they want to connect themselves to something to maintain their stability. So he is almost always, 90% of the time, going to grab onto your leg. So all I'm going to do is come down and grab. Now, one thing I'd like to add in here is how to break a grip if he's grabbing the pants. This is very common. We're just going to do a kick break. We've done kick breaks a lot in the past. I'm just going to kick my foot past him and pull his hand towards me. Now his hand's mine. So from this position, I'm now going to again open his base as I sit up. Here. Notice from this position, I'm really leaning in towards him. I want to get as close as physically possible. From here, I'm going to take this right hand and I'm going to pass it to my left hand. My left hand, however, is going to hug his leg first. I'm now going to transition the grip by going to a 2-on-1 position, and then I can let go with the right hand. Okay? So I don't just do this and kind of pass it off because he's fighting, right? He's fighting, he's fighting, he's fighting. If I just kind of like toss it, I lose it. So look, I'm trading it. 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 1-on-1. So that way, even if he's fighting, I can safely pass it across. Now, I've passed that hand underneath. Look, I still have this strong frame keeping his base widened. So let's now look at our alignment battle. Right now, the score is 3-1. I have my base, I have my posture, I have great structure. Let's look at him. His base is very wide. His structure is now compromised because I'm internally rotating the shoulder. And what's the last thing I need to do? Disrupt his posture. So to do that, we're going to grab the collar here, and I'm going to start to pull him over top. This should look pretty familiar, right? This is the way that we perform the off balance. But now I'm holding the thing that he needs to put out to stop himself from falling. So as I go for this little collar drag movement, even if he puts out the other hand, that's not matching the direction his body's falling in, right? So that's really not going to help him. I'm just going to continue to turn, and start to put him down. We're going to look first at if they drop all the way down to the hip. Okay? If they come down to the hip, I'm going to come up on top, and I'm going to be nice and heavy, right? So I'm just kind of burying my head down. I'll show this from a different angle in a moment. I'm keeping that sleeve grip, and I'm sitting on top of their guard. Again, I'm looking up so I can talk to you. Normally, I'll keep the head down in a Pez dispenser with my head underneath their chin. Now, all I'd like to do is just get behind them. So I'm going to windshield wipe my feet, lift, and see I'm driving in hard. This helps maintain the back exposure. Okay, guys? So let's run that back. This is a very simple sweep. I'm just pulling them onto their side. So we're in Delahiva here. I grab, kick break, extend and sit up. Switch 2-on-1, 1-on-1. Now I can grab the collar. Look how I'm staying close. Okay, I'm keeping my head up tight as well. If I keep my head down, now he gains lever access and can start pushing me away. He can even start looking for loop chokes, all sorts of nasty stuff. So I keep my head up a little bit. Now from here, I'm gonna start to tip him over. Be very nice with this. Don't just suddenly introduce their shoulder to the floor. I have one of my worst injuries was taking a fall like that, where I spiked my shoulder into the mat. So just so nice and slow, okay? Top person, be ready to kind of absorb the momentum. So I'm gonna slowly turn them over, and I come up on top. Okay, notice how I'm nice and low. Okay, from this position, guys, I'm gonna start to circle my feet behind him, hips up, and I walk to his back. Let's look at this from the other side. Again, I'll start just from the seated position so we can see what it looks like. So I'm in Delahiva here. If he's grabbing my pant leg, I kick break, widen and sit up. Switch the grip, grab the collar, and now we're ready to go. I'm gonna slowly tip him over. Once he falls down, I'm gonna come up on top. So look, I'm still holding both my grips. Nothing has changed. I'm gonna come up on top. I'm gonna pin his leg. So I'm sitting right on top of his thigh. My other foot is over top of his bottom thigh. Head down low, Pez dispenser. Now, windshield wiper, my feet to his back. Here. And now I'm gonna start walking, let go, and you're ready to take the back. I'll show one more time without talking. We'll do that from the top, so I'll start from the feet here. Slow motion, here we go. Alrighty guys, anybody have any questions on this sweep? It's our main sweep for tonight, okay? We'll do one more sweep next class. Any questions? Take your time, go nice and slow. Let's get to it. 1, 2. Okay, any questions so far? As you can see, it's a pretty simple sweep, right? We just pass off the grip and tip them over. I'm gonna show a couple common errors that I was noticing when I was walking around looking at how we were drilling this. So first, guys, we wanna make sure if we're performing that kick break, I'm not kicking his leg, I'm kicking past his leg, because I'm trying to elongate this lever that he's holding onto. His grip is strong, but if I start to move my leg that way as I pull his grip the other way, it's gonna break easy. So I wanna kick, and look how I'm kicking past him, okay? And then I reset. Look how I keep this grip though, I'm not giving it back. Now again, I extend and sit up, and hug. Okay, let's see that one more time from an opposite angle. Look guys, as I extend his leg and sit up, if you can't hug over top your leg, your hook's in the way, so just put your hook down, okay? It's fine. Look, I push, and I go here. All right, again, we understand that our thigh is the primary frame for the left leg, so even if I can't keep the Delahiva hook, we're golden, we're still okay. Just come up and switch the grip here, 2-on-1 to 1-on-1. Now, I re-engage with the collar grip to create posture control, and now from this spot, I'm gonna start to tip him. As I tip him, I wanna keep this right leg strong. If I start to tip and this foot comes out, he can now adjust his center of gravity by moving the foot. So I wanna keep his legs widened. Think about your alignment. I've destroyed his base, I've destroyed his structure, I've destroyed his posture, and now the sweep is inevitable, right? I'm gonna bring him down as I come up. Immediately, I'm sitting heavy on his guard. Okay, I want my hips pinning his legs down, my head under his chin for posture control. Now from here, there's a lot of different ways that you can finish this pass, right? You can just kind of walk over to the side and go to side control. I'm always a big fan of going behind them. It's a very safe place to be. So I windshield wipe my legs, hips up, keep your weight leaning into them. Okay, they should be carrying all of my weight now. Then I start to walk around, and notice how I keep my chest low to create back exposure. This allows me to open up the chair sit opportunity. Okay, just one quick note, and then we'll finish drilling. If we get into this position where I've extended, and I've started to tip him over, but he's very big, he's very strong, maybe he's a really good competitor, and he's posted this hand here, and I'm having trouble putting him all the way down. Just remember that we can always start to come up and either take this single leg out from underneath him, or if he's down on a knee and he's just refusing to fall, we can always start to come up and look to go to the back, right? I can just start to use my barrel roll like we've looked at in the past with our back control module, and take the back from there, right? So I just want you guys to understand that you might not always get that perfect sweep motion where they fall onto their hip. Sometimes if they're fighting this hard, you might have to, again, you end up in like this broken play where you're in this like nebulous middle stage. Let's think about some of the things that can happen, right? Again, I'm here. He's really strong at posting here, okay? Maybe I even got him down onto his knees, but he's just not falling, right? I might need to just come up on this single leg, okay? Or if he's still, see how he's still fighting, he doesn't want that shoulder to hit. Look, I can just come in, barrel roll, and attack the back from here. Okay, we're always looking for options that we can go to, right? If they're not falling for the first thing, like that A-B option we were talking about last class with our passing sequences, if they don't fall for the first thing, I have something to go on to next, all right? So let's play now, finish up by drilling this, and then we'll move into some specific training. Any questions? if they're pushing on our face, are they defending the sweep?
But if they're not going to catch themselves and we knock them over, that's okay though, right?
If they don't,
If they hurt because they don't post, that's okay.
if they don't catch themselves, then they just have no recourse for defending the sweep, right? So this is very human to do. You want to stick your hand out to catch yourself, but their body's not falling into the trajectory of that post. Their body's falling this way, so that post is not going to help them, right? So they can post the hand, but it's kind of a moot point, right? So
nothing else they do with that hand can really help them.
yeah. Alrighty, guys, let's try that out. Keep it chill. Sorry, Aiden, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead. You mean if we do a kazushi to the backside? Yeah, we'll talk about that next class. Okay. All right, let's go. 1, 2.